Welcome back into Crosstalk on this Monday morning edition. It is Business Mondays for you on the airways, and we're joined after a little hiatus by Laurie Jones once again from the Colorado Small Business Development Corporation office in Sterling. Laurie, thank you for coming and joining us.
You're welcome. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's a great time of year. You know, kids are out of school now.
That's right.
Teachers are out and they're getting set for their summer, and some of the businesses, some of them are just ramping up, those in the agriculture world. Others are kind of heading toward the new phase of marketing or whatever. We'll talk about that on another one. But this is the time of year where a lot of us are doing the honey-do list or spring cleaning.
Oh, boy. Spring clean our homes, our garages. And, you know, what I was thinking about today was, how do we spring clean our own skill set? So
Absolutely.
It's time to maybe all of us step back and refresh. What do our business skills look like?
And we're going to talk today not just as a business owner. We've spent time focusing on owning businesses, and there's more to business than just the ownership end of things as well. And that's the focus we've got here today, because this applies to the owner, the manager, the employee, all across the board.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter what our jobs are. This is for every one of us.
We may all think we're doing the best job that we can, but I guarantee you, even myself, from evaluating myself, I think there's no way I can possibly do any better. There's always something we can do to improve your skills, and that's what today is.
Yeah, so what I was hoping today, I've got a couple of steps here that in about 3 basic steps is kind of a direction to number one. You know how I love numbers. Number one, it's time to assess how are you doing right now in your own job. And that could be whether you're the owner, once again, whether you're the employee, whether you're a manager over a group of people.
You can look at this, but it's not just take a look at it, because like I said, I can look at myself anytime and say there's no way I can possibly do anything better. You have to take an honest look at yourself. So how do you take an honest look at your job to make sure that you can do better? What are some
and here's the hard part too, because it's going to be a combination of objective looking and subjective looking.
Okay.
So first of all, let's start with, if you are in a position, and we'll start more with the employee. If you're somewhere where you have a position description, a job description, you have a sheet of paper of things you're supposed to do every day or every month, take a look at that list again. And that would be the first thing. Is that list really what I'm doing every day?
Am I doing everything as I am supposed to? Now, what if you're in a situation where you don't have that? So often, I mean, especially in this economic world where more people or less people are doing the same amount of work for no extra pay, how do you make sure that you are still doing your quote-unquote job, even if it isn't in a job description? Well,
so the very first thing is, again, even if you don't have a job description, maybe try to, just on a yellow sheet of paper, put down what are about 3 or 4 key things that I'm supposed to be accomplishing, or what do I handle? What's my scope of responsibilities? So that would be the very first thing, is try to define what that is.
Right.
Once you've done that, then the very next thing is to come back, and this is a hard one for almost all of us. Try to figure out from your skill set, your experience, your personal traits, what am I good at and what am I bad at? And again, we've talked about strengths and weaknesses before, so this is kind of that internal assessment of yourself. If you're lucky enough to work somewhere where you get regularly, get a performance review, take that old performance review out. Take a look at that.
Right.
If you've done a fantastic job, which I'm sure a lot of people who are listening have, take a look at some things like, well, am I still as good as I need to be on that? So then start drawing that little, kind of put a little T together on that sheet of paper, and on the left side put the S for strengths, on the right side put the W for weaknesses, and start going through those personal traits again. If you're dealing with people on a regular basis, what are your people skills like? What is your communication skill like? How good are you at writing? How good are you at verbalizing things? So communication is going to be a big part of that. Another one could be organization. Oh, now let's turn this one off to managers and owners
Absolutely.
who never have enough hours in the day, probably have sticky notes posted all over the board. Ben, as I look around, you're not too bad, but you've got some key things here. You post them right in front of them.
Absolutely.
Come back and ask yourself, am I keeping track of information, tasks that need to get done, and am I keeping my eye on the goal? And how do you do that? Some people love putting things in books, and we've kind of talked before about how you like to keep things organized.
Absolutely, and that's from a manager's standpoint as well, because you have to look at what your role is. Now, for an owner in this situation, how can they do step one in the spring cleaning?
So again, then from the owner side, it's going to be, first of all, do your own assessment. Am I supporting my people enough? Do my employees know the goals of what we're trying to do here, whether it's an organization that's a profit or for-profit? So, and realize you can have kind of an owner even running a nonprofit organization. But with that said, that's the first thing. The second thing is coming back again and trying to define what are the goals we're trying to achieve in some time frame, and wrap those milestones around that, because you're refreshing it. And what we're trying to get to is back to this assessing your own skill set. So once you've kind of figured out that, and from the owner standpoint, the other one might be breaking into functional responsibilities.
Okay.
Finances, selling side, internal keeping track of record keeping. So to take some of those key, and again, just tops of the trees, take some of those key functions that have to happen in your business, customer service, and saying, how good are we, or how good am I at doing all of this? So that's your number one step. That's kind of the overall. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense as we're trying to spring clean our business skill sets with Laurie Jones from the SBDC. The step number 2, of course, now you know what you're good at, what you're not good at, and you can start to kind of clean what you're not good at.
Well, and it's not only the cleaning, but it's the what am I doing as I'm getting rid of, or the bad things. Am I dumping out my bad habits? Am I getting rid of my time wasters? How am I doing my job effectively? But you're focusing on your skills. So number 2 really is, okay, you make your commitment. You know what? I'm just going to do better.
Okay.
Real simple. Right?
You can say it all you want. Actually doing it is the tough part.
How do we get better? So, first thing is, if you're not good in a certain area, let's come back and say, how do I learn to be better? And this is a little bit of some education. Very practical thing is, look out at some webinars. We've talked before about the Small Business Development Center. We have a bunch of things on our website under the events category which deal with the art of selling, how to do QuickBooks, how to do marketing better. And these are not only functional tasks, but they're going to involve soft skills that you need to improve too.
Absolutely.
Workshops, Northeastern Junior College, Morgan Community College, CSU Extension, all of these educational entities are going to offer workshops that you can go to spruce up your own personal skill set.
And offer these not only for owners, but managers and employees as well, because all of us have tools to do the job. You just need to be able to work with them. And the other big thing to doing better, I think the biggest key for whatever position you're in, is work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's very true. And while we're doing the work smarter, when you go to these workshops, you tend to learn tips and techniques and little ideas that you can implement. But what the other thing is, too, everyone that works is in some kind of an industry. Try to find out what's on an industry website, sign up for email letters, and take time to read them. Subscribe. If you actually, some people still get magazines, but take time to subscribe, set some time away once a week, and just look at, hey, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. Networking.
Oh, yes.
Go to chamber events. Go to industry events. Go to places where you meet with other people, and that face-to-face, you walk away sometimes with, if I just tried that, that would make me better at, and then fill in the blank on that one.
One of the biggest things for me, I recently had the opportunity to judge the New Mexico Broadcasters Association Awards. And I spent so much time just doing the day-to-day things here at the radio station that I'd not really had the opportunity to listen to myself and think about how I could become a better broadcaster. Listening to these other people, I went, ooh, I do that, and that sounds terrible. Or, ooh, I do that, that sounds good. And I was able to do the evaluation of that just because I took a little time to give to a group like the NMBA and learn and network and grow as a broadcaster. It's one of those little spring cleaning things that you can do to become more effective at your job.
That's right. And by the way, let's put ourselves back into the shoes again of working for somebody else.
Yes.
If you don't know what the goals are of where you work, this is part of it. Take the time to ask your supervisor or the owner or whoever works with you on your team, okay, I know this is what my job's supposed to be every day, but what are we really accomplishing that I can help contribute to?
Absolutely. From across the board, from the day-to-day effectiveness to all the way up to the philanthropic or however.
Philanthropic.
Thank you. I can't.
Got it.
Yes. Between the two of us, we got it done. Goals of your company as well.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So again, and then to kind of wrap this up, what you're back to is, and from the, the boss, the owner, the supervisor, make sure that you are taking some time to let your employees know in a formal fashion how well they're doing. And if you haven't been doing it, set up something. It can be very, informal, 15, 20 minutes, or it could be a very formal performance review. And there are tons of things available to people through SBDC, through websites, through human resource industry to pull off all those, how do we evaluate ourselves? And then the very last thing is, after you've done all this, come back, set your personal goals again, and tie them back into your work, and try to, what I'm trying to get to is, when we clean our homes, our garages, our boats, our campers, our vehicles, don't you feel better when that process is done?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Going through this and spending a little time, whether it's one day or a few hours over a course of a week, you should be able to come back to work again feeling refreshed.
You definitely should. And as a part of setting those goals, it's a whole lot easier to keep your house clean once you've got it clean.
That's right.
And if you set those goals in your business world, it's going to be a whole lot easier to stay effective once you've figured out what you were doing to not be so effective. And the other big thing here is not only for employers and for managers to tell their employees how good of a job they're doing, but as an employee, I think it's important that the managers and the employer know that you appreciate what they're doing for you as well.
Well said.
Absolutely. They can always contact you or any of the SBDC people all across the area. How can they do that, Laurie?
We have in the Northeast, East Central Small Business Development Center group, we're going from Greeley out to the northeast part of the state, down to, say, Burlington, and over back to Elizabeth. And to reach us, the website is neeccosbdc.org. You can also reach us on Facebook, and a phone number to reach me in this area in this part of Northeast Colorado is 970-520-0798. If you are in Sterling, you can also come by the Logan County Economic Development Office on Main Street. And if I'm not there, they'll track me down, or even come into the Chamber of Commerce's at, respectively, all of these different counties that we service.
Absolutely. The next time we have you on the show, Laurie, we're going to have a great conversation. What's it going to be about? We
are going to talk a little bit about tune up your marketing strategy.
It's a wonderful thing that we're going to talk about here, and we'll have that next time. Laurie, thank you for being on Small Business Monday.
You're welcome. Thanks, Ben.